What's up, guys? You are on the air and off the books with Bethann and Samantha, and today we have special guest Trisha, our lovely supervisor, here with us. We all decided to read The Measure by Nikki Erlick.
Yes, based on Trisha's recommendation. So, we're excited to talk about it today. I actually finished this book.
She did.
Shocker.
I finished it in like half a day.
Yeah, okay, half a day. You really did. That was pretty impressive.
Yes, that was.
Okay, so Trisha is going to give us a little summary of the book.
A little synopsis.
Take it away, Trisha.
All right, here is the summary that I am reading. It seems like any other day you wake up, pour a cup of coffee, and head out. But today, when you open your front door, waiting for you is a small wooden box. This box holds your fate inside, the answer to the exact number of years you will live. From suburban doorsteps to desert tents, every person on every continent receives the same box. In an instant, the world is thrust into a collective frenzy. Where do these boxes come from? What do they mean? Is there truth in what they promise? As society comes together and pulls apart, everyone faces the same shocking choice. Do they wish to know how long they will live? And if so, what will they do with that knowledge? There you go. So I'm already going to correct the summary because not every person receives the box.
That's true.
Yeah.
Only if you're over the age of what, 22?
22.
22
Yes.
or
receive
above.
the box.
Yeah, and
At the time, it doesn't tell you the exact number of years.
right.
They have to,
They figure it
gradually
out.
Figure that out over time.
Yeah.
So,
Which was
I-
really interesting to me.
yes.
I really liked it.
I did
was
too.
like, it was definitely like a, it wasn't, I wouldn't say there's any, like, pivotal point in the story. I think it was just a telling of people's lives as they deal with.
That's a good point, because when I looked this up, I was like, what? Because when I go into it, I expected it to be, and
Like
that's
a
just based off
thriller?
of, because
Yeah.
it's based off of my reading preferences, how I went into it. And it does start off pretty tension heavy. This is really alien. It's very scary. It's kind of weird. So I looked up the actual genre of it, and it's magical realism, which I didn't understand until I finished the book.
Yeah.
And that's really perfect for what I think it is. And it's like a slice of life meets fantasy reality kind of a thing. Like, there's a little bit of fantasy in, but it's like a slice of life situation.
It was definitely a slice of life.
It's essentially just like if right now you walked outside and there was a box on your door, and then what would you do? Like, how
Right.
would you handle that information, the panic, the paranoia, like all of that. So there's a teeny bit of magic in it, but that's not the main point. That's just the aid and jump starting like this whole like trigger of events for all of these different people.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't anything that I'm glad you suggested it, because I don't know that I would have picked it up on my own.
I don't think
But
I
I
would have
really
either.
liked it a lot because it was so like soul deep.
It was very deep.
Yeah.
It was.
It was so
And
sad.
I appreciated it. Like, it was very like tear jerking. And it's not sad in like a bad way. It's just sad in a realistic, like, this is life kind of a way. And I
Yes.
feel like for people who are like maybe grieving, or people who have suffered a tremendous amount of loss in their life, or like people who are thinking about like just life in general or things like that, like toying with this existential thing, this is a good book because it really focuses all those ideas. I enjoyed it. I gave it a 4.2, so.
Yeah. So this was told from what, like 5-6 different perspectives.
A lot, yeah.
And so basically, these people, obviously, they all receive a box, and what, like half the people decide that they're going to open their box, half of the people are just like,
I don't want
to know.
Right. So what I wanted to know is, would you open your boxes? That's what I want to
don't
know.
think I would.
Really?
No.
So,
Okay.
let's just talk about that, though, for a minute. So the box says, and just remember, like, you're just waking up in the morning, you go out the door, you don't know anything about this, there's just this box. You don't know that everybody else has received one at this point.
Right.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
the box says, the measure of your life lies within. That's what's engraved at the top of this box.
I would be terrified.
I think I would like obviously like open it if I didn't know what it was.
Well,
but
I
like
think-
if I knew what was going
Yeah.
on, I would be like, no, absolutely not.
I think that's what initially got a lot of people because they were probably just like, "What's this?" and then
What
open
is
it up,
this? Yeah, who said this to
and
me?
then there's this like string inside, and you're just like,
Yeah.
"That doesn't make any sense." And then when like the news starts picking up and like people are texting you and like there's this mass pandemonium, you're just like, then I would be like, "Oh God, I should have never opened this." Like that's what
Yeah.
I would have instant regret on opening it. But I feel like if I would have received it after all the knowledge, I would have never touched it.
I don't think I would either. I think
Yeah.
like if I was 20 when it happened, and so I didn't receive it, because once you hit 22, then on your 22nd birthday you receive the box.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Happy
First
birthday.
length of your life.
Ugh.
I don't think I would have opened it at that
No.
point.
No.
And I feel like I wouldn't because like I feel like it depreciates my life in a way. Like it doesn't in some ways I felt like for some of these people that we read about, it made their life to other people worth less
Yeah.
because of it, and that it robbed them of opportunities, or it like they didn't feel like they could go and chase things or
Yeah.
have dreams. And some of these people received these boxes and like they had spent like 12 or 13 years in school for these careers that was a waste of time.
You got one more month to
essentially.
live.
Right, and it's just like so devastating on your psyche. And then there's like
Yeah.
in it talks about different support groups for these people who are eventually called short stringers,
Yeah.
and how I really liked how it played into like how the government handled things, and like that's why it's so like
Which
realistic.
I think would, like, if this was a real situation, I think how the book was played out is 100% what would happen.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
agree. I think
Yes.
that's what I loved about the book the most is like I wasn't too invested in the characters themselves.
Right, yeah.
Right.
Me either.
I mean, I liked them. I didn't dislike them, but that my fascination with the book was like this could really happen. I mean, not
Yeah.
that it,
Yeah.
but I would definitely see like all of these like laws being placed and
Mhm.
how like in the book one country
North
requires.
You had to turn in all of
Your
your
box,
strings.
yeah.
So
Yes.
that the person in charge couldn't allow you, if your life was ending anyway, revolt against the government so that you couldn't like overthrow. And like it was so scarily like realistic in that way, because even though the string is technically magic, they say in the book that they can't identify the box, what it's made of, and they can't identify the string, and you can't cut the string.
Yeah.
You can't destroy it in any way. It just will always exist like as it is.
I thought that my favorite part of the book was like when the long stringers were like experimenting with death, because like
Yeah.
obviously if you jump off a cliff and you're not going to die because you've got 20 more years of your life, but then they were realizing like, okay, we're like damaging our bodies and we're
Yeah,
that
like,
doesn't mean I'm not going to live the next 19 years in a coma.
in a coma.
Exactly. And that's what was like shocking to me too, because when I realized that, I was like, oh yeah, that doesn't mean that you're not going to have like brain damage or like live a very frail like or like ruin your mental capacity or your physicality doing all these different crazy things, but people would do it. Or like when the kids were trying to rebel against their parents and cut their strings
Yeah.
up and like try to put them in acid and blow them up and stuff like that. And I was just like, this is so like speaking to like, unfortunately, like all of the climates and everything like that today, even like it's just humanity in general.
Yeah.
And it's such an interesting way they wrote this book to play on all of those things and make you really think about how life is now in comparison. So
Yeah.
I would say if you don't be afraid of the magic aspect of it, even though it's magic realism, it's really just there to make you think.
Right.
Yeah, I
It's
don't
not-
do magic, and I really did not think of it as magic.
I
I've
didn't
read that
either.
it's dystopian too. I almost think of it, and I know this isn't a like some genre or anything, but like a what if type book. Like what
Right.
if this happened? Because
Yes.
It kind of reminded me of like an apocalyptic type
yeah,
book.
Yeah, yes, but it wasn't so
Like,
like abruptly devastating.
right, survive. Like,
Right.
from zombies, you know, that
Or something
kind of
like that. It was just normal people dealing with like extraordinary circumstances or like extra information that normally we wouldn't receive. And it was so good. I did enjoy, I think my favorite exchange was Ben and Amy.
Ben and Amy, yeah.
Those are my
tragic.
favorite characters.
That was so
tragic,
sad.
but so fitting.
Yeah.
And I knew something was going to happen along those lines, because some of that's kind of predictable, because I think this is where we're going to get into a little bit of spoilers. So if you would like to read it, pause this and then come back to it. But most of the people that we're reading about are really all have a short string, and they're trying to deal with that.
Right.
The reality of unfulfilled goals and dreams, and should I even try to live my life, and should I even try to like start a family, should I even try to like have some kind of normal like thing, and how they have to like conjure up all this energy to go on every single day, even though they know the inevitability of the end.
Yeah.
And so we see Ben accidentally writing these notes to, well, it's not accidentally, it's like a therapy session where he sits down and he's writing to whoever
person.
and I think he drops it, and then Amy's a school teacher and she finds it and she decides that she's going to write back to him.
Right.
And then they create this correspondence, and it's sweet.
I think
really
the thing
love
that
it.
I missed is how they were getting the letters to each other.
They kind of just, he tucks them in the classroom.
I don't know if he accidentally dropped it. I don't remember, but I
She
remember
finds
she
it, like, by
found
the
it under a
bookcase.
bookcase. Like,
Yeah.
she sees a piece of paper sticking out under a bookcase, thinks it's a student's note, and then reads it.
Right.
And then feels guilty.
Feels guilty, and
Yeah.
so then she replies back to it.
Yes, and it's like, signed like a -B and then like -A.
Yeah.
And eventually they meet up at, I think it's Mara. Is that how you say her name?
Mara, I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't know either. Mara and Nina's wedding.
Yes.
And then that's when she kind of realizes, and how like fate kind of lines up for her with the whole like que sera sera thing that goes on. I thought that was really cool.
Oh,
That was
yeah.
cute.
And she was just like that light bulb moment, because the whole time for Amy, the string doesn't matter to her. She just wants to live her life.
She's never looked at her string.
No.
She hid it in the back of her closet, she said, by her old like winter boots or something, and like she just decided that it didn't matter, that she just was going to do what she was going to do, and that life was going to come and go as she wanted it to, and it wasn't going to affect her, which I think is like the moral of the story.
Right.
Is like, why hang on to what you can't control and like try to manipulate your future, your circumstance, and just like live in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Just be for right now and then go on. And so it's just great. And I liked their story in the end, because it was such a sweet,
Sad.
like
tragedy.
sad,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But it all rounds out. I don't think even though there is that tragic moment, it all still ends well.
And all their stories connect.
Yes.
In the end, yes.
Yeah.
They do. And it's not, I didn't think it was confusing. I didn't think it was hard to read from multiple perspectives. I thought it was pretty easy. And I liked it too because the chapters didn't drag with the people. It said what it needed to say, and then it kind of moved on to the next person.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was happy about that, because sometimes I get a little confused.
I definitely sped read and understood all of it, so.
Right. It's one of those where you can, like, if you're like the type of person who's invested in like the general details and you want to hear about somebody's life and you really want to know what's like,
You
it's
wanna
a
know what color
good,
the wallpaper is.
yeah, it's like a good
smell of the
slow
grass.
read, or you can go through and like really consume it, but you still get that, like you said, that overarching storyline.
Yeah.
So it's good for any kind of reader. And this is like just a general good fiction story.
Yeah, and I want to know, what year did she write this book?
It was
we know?
recent, wasn't it? 2000.
I don't know.
I want to know if
Let me see.
COVID had any influence.
Oh,
Actually,
You
I
know-
read.
that's a good question. Let me see.
I was reading some reviews today, and then somebody's review says the character stories were woven together very well. I thought that their reactions to the new normal was conveyed in a very individual and believable way. The societal reactions, discriminations, would have felt much less plausible if the past years had not mirrored it so close.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I was kind of associating it with like the vaccinated and non-vaccinated situation. It was kind of similar
Right.
to that. So I didn't know if she was inspired by that or if it
June
was just something
2022
she
is
came
when
up
the
with.
release was, so it was last year in June.
Yeah.
So it's possible. Or they could have just had this idea
Right,
and
yeah.
it just conveniently all went together that way.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you're right. I think that because, like I said, the climate of today matches it so well, and it's such it was such an easy way to talk about things that people don't really want to talk about right now, and an easier way to digest and evaluate things by putting yourself in this situation too.
Right. And it was really I think it was a pretty political book, not like in a
but not like you think,
like a dividing way, but
Exactly.
it just shed light on
society.
just life.
So to go back though, and this is kind of a spoiler, when the two guys switched strings.
Oh yeah, that was a good story.
Did you want the power of the strings, or did you expect, or did you question whether the power of the strings would transfer to the new owner?
No. I knew that
Oh, really?
Javi was going to die.
Yeah.
I was hoping maybe.
Yeah, I guess that didn't even cross my mind. I didn't even think about it that way.
I just think it was a shared, exchange of hope. You know what I mean? Like, here's this piece of, like just in case, or, let me send you with this,
And I don't think that's what it was meant for, right? When they switched, it wasn't meant to change the outcome. It was just meant to confuse people.
Yes.
Right.
And I think it was meant so that the one guy could do what he had worked so hard to do
Yes.
and wanted to do so bad, and the other guy was like, I'm only doing this because everybody in my family has done this in the past, and it's not my passion.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I didn't think that it would ever, because that's how far into the book is that? It's like halfway or something
it's about
like
halfway.
that.
Yeah.
So by that time, I had figured it was just going to be.
Yeah.
And that it was just showing a different aspect of, what people were doing with the strings. Because obviously that would happen. People do that. That can be applied even today with other things, too. And I thought it was interesting that they added it in. Because story was added for a purpose. And no story was the same within the book.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was important, too.
And it also, I think it shed a lot of light on, people's panic. In this sort of situation, especially, the government, what would happen, if this actually happened. I think it would be 100%, dead on. This is what would happen. If we all got these boxes with strings, short stringers, not saying that I would be a short stringer, who knows?
Hope not.
Yeah.
They would definitely be in the category of, who cares about them, because we can't help them. But if you think about it, everybody's gonna die, so why does it matter how short or how long your string is?
But that's the way that, the human condition is. That's the problem with it, is that it's so easily tainted.
Yeah.
And that this is just proof of that, and that people can take something that can be so innocent in a way and make it so, cruel or beautiful, or it's just, I don't know, we just contort things into being more than it is. Yeah.
You've got a 5-year string, you've got cancer, why are we going to treat you when we could use that money to treat somebody that's got a 20-year string?
Exactly.
All those,
And then you have to think, is that right or wrong?
Yeah, the moral,
is it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right,
I don't know
the
either.
ethics of it.
You're going to die in 2 years. You shouldn't have a baby.
Right, yeah.
Right.
Because then that baby's going to
and that was interesting,
grow
too,
up as
to see, Mara's struggle with, reevaluating her desires, her wants, and, the things that she wanted for her life and how that changed because of seeing the string. That was really cool, too. I really liked that. It's just so interesting.
Yeah.
It was
so you guys have
very
little
deep.
kids.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just say that would you prepare your child for their 22nd birthday?
Probably.
I don't know. I think I would be okay, you're going to get this box, but let's just not open it.
So you would immediately discourage
Yes.
them from opening it.
Yeah, because how could you open, that would be so tragic, opening a box, as a family, and then just, somebody having a short string, and then, all the rest of your family having long strings, you have to like now live with the
It would
fact
be
that
really hard knowing that my child would die before I
right,
did.
yeah, and I
Like,
wouldn't want to.
I
But
wouldn't want
they're
that
22
either,
when they
but
get it, so
yeah.
they have already been exposed to information about it.
But who knows if they're even going to live till they're 22?
And yeah, how do we
And
know
that's
that?
the thing,
That's the other
too.
question that I
Yeah.
had. Like,
Children were not like that. Didn't mean that children always made it to 22. That children
Right,
were
yeah.
just living life as we were living it before the strings. Like, so they lived on, or things would happen and they would pass away, or things like that. Like, it would just be normal life all the way up into 22, and then all of a sudden, something about being 22, you either
I think it was maybe
continue
like
to live it
a
normally, or you just make your life stop. With
maybe
this
like keeping a
information.
child's innocence or whatever.
Maybe, yeah.
I think she picked 22 because the drinking age is 21 in the United States. And so most people go out and get drunk on their 21st birthday.
Right.
And then they would make a bad decision because of that.
Yeah.
So I really have thought about why 22, and I think that's why.
That makes sense.
Like, they've had a year to, like,
figure out.
figure it out and not make that dumb decision. Or
Yeah.
smart decision. I guess it's not, I guess there wasn't a right or wrong decision,
Yeah.
but not out of just impulse.
Like the recklessness of being 21, maybe?
Yeah.
And then, like, now you have to realize that either you're going to continue to, like, you have to make big decisions now. You're an adult. You're not a child anymore. Like, these are big things for you. Which, yeah, that's interesting. I never thought of that.
So do you think someone's length of string, even though they don't get it until they're 22, is determined at birth? Or
Oh.
does how they've lived their life up until the age of 22 determine the length of their string?
I think it's determined at birth.
Yes. I agree, because the people that we see throughout the book, there are some people on there that were absolute trash, that were living until their absolute 80s, 90s, 100s.
True, you're right.
Yeah.
And then there were some people who were fantastic, amazing people, like Ben and Amy,
Mm-hmm.
who, yeah, they were just normal, regular people, and then they died in their, what did it say, 40s? Their 40s.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just like luck of the draw. Like, we're drawing straws, and then this is what you get delivered. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
Because if that was the case, then all the bad people in the world would just
Bye.
bite the dust. So it would determine, like, and that would be a better moral compass for the book if it was determined by your morality, because then it wouldn't be such a tragedy, it wouldn't be such a sad situation, because it's so randomized
Correct.
for people.
Book 2. That's what it can be.
Book 2, yeah.
Do you think there'll be a sequel?
I
No.
don't. I think it was a standalone. I think the point of it was to make you think, and it did that goal. And I feel like if there was a sequel, I honestly think that would ruin it.
I do too.
I think it wouldn't. I wouldn't pick it up, probably, because this was so good as it was that I don't know what more you could add to make it better. Because if it got thrillery, or if it got suspenseful, or if it had like these weird, like, climactic moments,
Or like
I
a
would be
backstory of
disappointed.
the strings, you know.
Then it would
Yeah.
get too sci-fi, and I
Yeah.
think it would take away from the realism of the whole actual book.
But I did think there was going to be like some weird twist of like why the strings, like why all of a sudden this has happened.
I know. I was at
Did
the
you want
beginning.
that?
I wanted it, but by the
Yeah.
end, I had forgotten all about it.
Yeah.
Like, it was no longer important to me. At the beginning, I was like, we're going to find out who's sending these strings
Yeah.
and why they're sending them. But by the end, that wasn't
It's not.
even important to me.
It's not necessary. Like, I didn't know if I wanted it or not. I almost didn't, because I feel like it would have taken it way too magical and way
Yes.
too sci-fi. And I feel like that it didn't end up being important at all. Like, there are some things that you read that you want some explanations for that they don't give you, and then it just makes you angry.
Yeah.
This doesn't need an explanation, because it's not the point.
Exactly.
Like, I mean, if there was like a short story background somewhere after I've read it all, like, maybe that would be interesting just to see what they thought about, or maybe if I heard the author tell me in their mind what they thought that they came from, that would be interesting. Like, verbally hear the author be like, yeah, I had this idea a long time ago about this person or this monster or this alien who had done this to humanity, and then I wanted to see and evaluate how humanity would react to that. I would like that, but I don't want another book about it.
I don't either.
Yeah.
I would like to hear the author talk about it.
It reminded me of, I don't know if you've ever watched, like, those movies. They're, like, called, like, I think there's one called, like, Valentine's Day and, like, New Year's Eve, where, like, there's a bunch of, like, these different stories happening.
Yes!
And then they all come together, like, at the
Oh.
end, and everything, like, connects. It reminds
I've
me
never heard of that.
That's
of one of those.
those are books, right? No,
I think
movies.
they're movies, yeah.
And they usually have like pretty big, well-known stars.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
cameo
Really?
them.
Yes.
They're really
So,
good, and I don't watch very many movies.
They
I
are
really
good.
like those.
And they always, like, everybody connects with each other at the end. So that's what it reminded me of. It also reminded me of, like, super slice of life anime situation.
It's very slice of life, this is. And
Yeah.
that's another thing to keep in mind is you're not going to have any, like we said, big plot twists. It's
No.
not super climactic. But those are not bad things in this book. It needed to be that. This
There
is
are a
just,
few, like, you know, like, I would say there are a few, like, thriller situations, like, within the plot.
Yeah,
of the
like
book.
gaspy moments or like,
Yeah.
oh, like what's gonna go on?
Yeah.
But nothing like so edge of your seat, like the bombs are going off and we're running down the highway and like somebody's chasing me for blah blah blah, or they found a way to da 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 da. No, it's not like that. It's not cozy,
No.
but I'm trying to find a good word for it. Because, like, everybody's into, like, the cozy fantasies right now, reading about people's general lives and, like, going through, like, these low-risk things. And I'm not saying this book is low-risk, but it's very, what's the word?
It makes you think about the importance of your life and your
Yeah,
quality of your life.
It's kind of warming in a way, but it's
Sad.
eye-opening, and it is kind of sad. Some of you may cry, possibly. I don't know how to explain it. Like I said, it's not cozy, but it just does something to you in that way. And you're not taking big risks to read it. You're not,
It made
putting a
me
lot on the
deep think.
line.
Yeah, it's very thought-provoking to me. Like,
Yes.
excuse me, but I hate talking about politics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care what side of the fence you're on. I don't want
Right.
to talk about it.
Yeah.
Right.
But this made me think about it in a less political.
Yeah.
It never had a side.
Yes.
Yeah. And you could look at everything happening all at once without needing to stand on a side to support one thing or another. You could just look at the whole thing as a whole picture and then have feelings about it.
Yeah.
I mean, really, like, there's just one, like, bad person in the book.
Yeah.
The guy that wanted to run for president.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. He was the worst.
Like, he was the worst.
Yeah.
There were other people that did things that I didn't like.
Yeah.
But he's like the only villain, but it's not centered around the villain either.
Right.
No, it's just
I think it's just
really what would happen to
a main character in the story that's not all good.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too, is they're not intrinsically good and bad. There's no like heroes and anti-heroes, and there's no
Right.
like there's really not protagonists and like in that kind of way that you think. They're just normal human beings with normal everyday interactions with normal I don't know.
Was it
It's
Ben's
not-
girlfriend who opened the box for him? Isn't it Ben's girlfriend?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I don't like
She
her.
didn't-
No, she was thumbs down. She opened the box. His original girlfriend.
Yes. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
the
Okay.
original
I thought you were
girlfriend.
talking about.
She opened the box without
Because she was so
permission.
excited that hers was long, and so she was sure his was going to be long, and opened it without his knowledge.
And then she left
dumped
him.
I mean, come
But
on.
how-
Would you? Okay, let's say it was you
No.
and Dakota. Would
No.
you dump
No,
Never.
I would just
I wouldn't
live
either.
the best.
him? Yeah.
I mean, to me, that would be like, okay, I have this love of my life
Yeah.
for a very short amount of time. I'm going to live the best life we can possibly live.
Yeah,
Right.
like
I was
And we're
so
not gonna
sad.
think about
think
it.
That was,
Like-
yes.
and like it
She
doesn't-
clearly didn't love him.
Yes.
Yeah.
She was. Ugh, that's
She
so
was a
irritating.
thumbs down.
But I would
character.
never open his box for him ever. Like I would
Right.
never do that.
As a older adult, I would not do that, but I think in my 20s I would have.
Really?
I was so nosy back then. I think
Yeah,
I
that's
would have.
true.
Like, I'm going to open it and then not tell him that I opened it.
Yeah, but I couldn't live with the knowledge that I had that he didn't have.
Right, yeah.
Oh,
Like,
I
it
would
would eat
eventually
me away.
spill it, and then
Oh,
he'd, like,
jeez.
he'd break up with me and all those kind of things. I think of all these scenarios, but no, I don't. Like, now
I wouldn't. Oh, man. I feel like, yeah, no. If he had one or if I had a short string, I feel like we would just be like, okay, well, we'll do what we can, and when it gets closer to time, we'll prepare. Kind of like Ben and Amy did it right. Like, they knew it was coming. When it came, they sat down and they handled the business. They were objective about it. And then they went on. And then, tragically,
But she never knew that
she never knew.
I knew
That was the
the
biggest
whole
plot
time
twist.
that they were
I
going to die
figured.
together.
I figured.
knew.
I
Spoilers.
never thought that.
Yeah.
I figured it was going to be something like that, but it was so poetically, and then it brings up it, and that's what's so interesting to me is that after all of this like realistic thing, it brings up the idea of fate and how maybe they were fated to be together after all this time,
Right.
and that was the
Had to have
purpose of it,
Yeah.
because their strings were literally the same length, and so it was just meant for them to be.
And that's why the strings are a thing from birth, because, like, it's determined from birth because they knew that they were going to be fated to be together.
But she taught him so much about what life really was.
Right.
And she pulled him out of this fatalistic doomsday mentality that he was
Right.
in.
Yeah.
And she showed him that it doesn't matter because we're here right now in this moment and we can do these things and live this life, and it doesn't have to be all about this thing.
Have you guys ever seen, like, people post things, like, on a tombstone where it says, like, 1958 to 1999, and, like, though it's the dash in between that's important. It's like how you live that dash in between the.
Oh.
And so to me, it's like how you live. If you have this string, it's how you live that string in between
middle.
Right,
your
yeah.
birth date and your end date. That's
Yeah.
really important in life.
And that's
Yeah.
true because the string isn't when you get the string, it's not what you have left. It's the literal length of your whole entire life.
Right.
So it's not like from 22, now I have this string and that's the rest. It's literally everything I've lived up until now on this whole string.
Yes.
Which I thought was really interesting too, that they did it that way.
Yeah.
Because you're seeing your past and your future all in one thing. It's like your whole life sitting right there in front of you, and that's cringy and devastating and shocking, and I would throw up.
I would too.
I would
I'd
throw
be
up.
like, I don't want this box. Take it
No,
away.
I wouldn't look at it. It's just not worth I'm an anxiety person anyway, and I deal with a lot of other stuff anyway, and I don't know that it would be a great idea to.
No, I would
Put
be
that
like
on
sick to my
myself.
stomach every single day,
Oh,
especially if I had a short string.
Well, hanging that on the back of your mind, like
Yeah.
I think I would want to know.
really.
I do.
Oh, don't look in the box.
Because
We're
you know
making a
what?
pact.
I want to know,
box?
not because it's like, oh, I'm going to be sad if I got a short string, but I want to know if I've got a short string, then I need to be.
Do I need to spend all my money right now?
Do I need? You know, I'm
Honestly.
not coming into work tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do some experiences.
Quit your
in
job.
life.
That's
Travel.
true, and that's the pro of it, but also, like, how do you handle the end knowing it's the, like, I don't want to stare into the face of death at the end, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Oh.
dealing with that, like, did I do enough? Was I enough? Was I a good person? Like, did I make the right choices? Like, did I leave the best impact? And, like, then realizing you have no control to go back, and then you're just gonna die. Like,
Yeah.
I hate that. Like, I would just rather just, whoop, well, she's dead. You know, I don't want to know. And then you can pack me with my string. You can open it later.
Maybe we should all live like we have a short string.
That's the moral of
So
the
we
story.
all quit our jobs and we spend all of our money.
and just,
And then some.
Yes.
right. And then we
Max
just,
out our credit cards.
Get a couple credit cards.
and just run around
Spend
the
them all.
world. I'm going to go backpacking. See you guys.
I cannot see you backpacking.
Oh, I would love to backpack across the world.
I would not. I don't like bugs.
I don't like bugs either, but I want to backpack across Europe.
I will drive.
Dakota and I would love to do that. It's very hard to do with a child, though.
No, I'd be scared of like bears and like
Bears. Out of everything. thing you could be scared of on the
Okay,
across
you're
Europe.
digressing.
The chupacabra.
Scared of bears, not mafia, not mobs, not
No.
gangs, not,
Just bears. No, that's why
not
I'm
getting
scared.
robbed.
I'm
bears.
scared. I'm going to Tennessee next week, and my main concern is bear.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Yeah,
Bears.
no, I'm scared. 100%.
Bears are cool. Just look at them through the window.
No, okay, literally. What if it's like that movie, Cocaine Bear, and knocking down doors, and they're gonna come in the cabin and eat me? Then what?
This is why you can't open your box. This is the reason, Samantha. It's because you're paranoid. You can't. I forbid it. If you get a box tomorrow, you're not opening it.
I will not open it.
This is why it'd be like you conjuring up all these wild ways you die until you die.
Yes, I think that would be it. And well, that was a question, like, if people, after they open their box, would you want to know, like, if they could then, your next box would be how you die?
Oh,
No, because what if you
No.
like get murdered?
what is that, like Final Destination? Is
That
what
would
that
be
is?
book 2 of this book.
Yeah.
If they
how
were
you
like,
die.
how you're
Yeah.
gonna die.
If they could write it objectively like they did this one and then do that, I feel like it would get more depraved, more depressing. It would be a sadder book. I don't think it
Yes.
would be
'Cause
as
what if
easily
you-
stomachable.
What if you die in just like the worst possible way?
Final Destination, driving down the road and then the whole logs come off and chop your head off.
Gets
you know
like
what I mean?
all your limbs cut off by
or like, you're gonna get captured by a
Bundy.
serial killer and tortured to death and you'd be in a ditch and dead. Like,
Right.
no, no, thank you.
Samantha's
Like-
killed by a raccoon.
A savage raccoon.
honestly,
in
I can see it.
Tennessee.
We have a lot of raccoons on our porch, and they are not
Jeez.
friendly. By the turtle, yeah, the
That
snapping
turtle,
turtle.
ball face first into a snapping turtle. Jeez.
So, moral of the story, guys, go check out The Measure by Nikki
Yes.
Erlick.
It was my
Erlick.
favorite book last year, hands down.
I can see why.
Like, I talk to even people that don't read books. Like, I would talk to a stranger about the book. Like,
Yes.
have you read The Measure? You really, this is so amazing, thought
was very
provoking. It makes you think about life. It makes you think about the world.
Yes. And it's on Libby, which May 1st, Libby is switching over to just being Libby. Libby, it was through Overdrive, so come in and ask us about that because the app and the website will be Libby. It's on there as an audiobook and ebook. I believe it's on Hoopla.
I think so.
I'm going to check that real fast. And we also have it in the library for you to come in and check out. It's a relatively new book, too, so if you're looking for a newer read, pick it up. And then tell us what you would do with your string.
Yeah.
Like, let us know. You can always email us at offthebooks@khcpl.org. And we do have it as an audiobook and ebook for immediate reading on Hoopla. So we have it literally everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Because it's that good.
Yes.
that good.
So you guys have no excuses not to go check this book out right now after you hear this in a few weeks. And
Tell
Pick
us
it up.
about it.
check it out. Tell us about your thoughts. Tell us what you would do with your life if you had a long string, short string.
Yeah.
And then the next few weeks, we are going to be reading The Luminaries by Susan Dennard. Dennard, not sure how to pronounce that.
We will look that up.
And then we have our interview with Maureen Johnson, author of Truly Devious, which will be airing on June 1st.
So
So
look out
make
for
sure,
that.
yes, make sure you guys tune into that. That will be a video podcast, so you'll be able to see our nice faces.
Ugh, my
Our
favorite.
lovely faces. Yes. So have a great rest of your week. Thank you, Trisha, for joining us.
Yes.
Thank you for
Snaps.
inviting me.
And have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.